Hey, 반갑습니다. A lot of people are wondering, asking me, what's the best major that they can take up to prepare themselves to teach English in a country like Korea, like where I'm at? And a lot of these questions come from folks, young people that are in college and even some in high school that are trying to prepare themselves for a future and wanting to teach abroad in a place like Korea or Japan or whatever country. But also older people who are looking to go back to school or just interested in getting into the game. They're curious, what's the best major that you can study while you're in college? So big kudos to those young people in high school and even in college that are already forward thinking and looking at their future and how to best prepare themselves to do what it is that they think they want to do. But to answer your question, and most people's questions about what major is best, when you're looking at the public school system in Korea, which is the EPIC program, the English program in Korea, or even hagwons, which are private academies, after-school academies that students go to, there is no preference on what your field of study is or what your discipline is. You just need to have a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree, typically from one of the English-speaking countries or your home country from wherever you're from. So if you have an art degree or a sports science degree or something like that, still you qualify to be able to apply for a position with EPIC or most hagwons, if not all of them. But when you start to look into things like international schools here in Korea or universities, that's when your major, your field of study, your discipline starts to come into play more. For instance, if you're looking at international schools, some of these international schools who are looking for an ESL teacher, an English teacher, they want something that is focused, a major that you studied, to be focused on English, whether it be straight up English or English literature or linguistics or something related to that. Because, hey, look, you're going to be teaching how to speak English. You're going to be teaching about English. So you probably should have studied English. Likewise with universities. Even more so, what's coming into play now with universities is a master's degree. If you're looking at large cities like Seoul, Busan, Daegu, typically they're going to want a master's degree. Not always in English, but at least a master's degree. But some of the more reputable top-tier colleges, they're also going to want something in an English-related field, like I mentioned before. If you're open to teaching in other countries outside of Korea, then it really depends on the hiring requirements of that country. So here's an example. One of the places that I would hopefully like to teach in someday is Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong is a very strong public school system. They turn out some of the best students in the world. If you go to their requirements page for their hiring requirements, they have different levels, different tiers of preferences for applicants and what they're looking for. Now, the highest tier on that list, you're going to see that they're going to want somebody who has an English-related degree. Like I mentioned before, English literature, TESL, things like that. And a teaching certificate from your home country. You know, you'd be a certified teacher to teach in the public school system back home. And preferably, along with those things, a TESL certification. So you see the requirements go up in other countries and other teaching locations just based on what they're looking for. So it really depends on where you're looking to teach. If you start looking at other countries or other cities within a country, different systems, different schools, it really is going to depend on the school that you're applying to. Another example would be in the Middle East, the UAE, Saudi Arabia. The public school system in the UAE, they don't list having an English-related degree as a requirement, but you do have to have a teaching certification with experience. But if you do have an English-related major, you're probably going to be given preference over somebody that doesn't. And some of the vocational schools or things more specific, international schools throughout the Middle East, they're looking for people with an English-related major. All that being said, what definitely surpasses your field of study, the discipline that you study in college, and whether or not it's related to English, is the importance of having your teaching certificate or being a certified licensed teacher in the public school system in your home country. And that's something that I'm going to speak about in another video here. Another question that a lot of people have surrounds the whole topic of certifications, and that's just a big pot of gumbo that is kind of hard to navigate when you're not really in the game, or if you're just starting to look into it, and there's so many different types of certifications.